Perhaps if a brand is trying to be more sustainable, they'll be using recycled polyester or rPET. Over the years, it's been marketed as fast fashion solution to their plastic problem. But a lot of the issues that we are seeing today is from the fact that polyester and other cheap synthetics that are derived from fossil fuels are going to be exploited by the fast fashion industry and their unwillingness to stop overproducing. Many of the bad qualities that virgin polyester has is still going to stick around with recycled polyester. Polyester is going to be derived from oil and gas. Unfortunately, these long-lasting fibers are now being used in clothes that are kind of marketed as being worn for one time, and now it's going to be accounting for around 60% of textiles globally. Kind of like today, back then, polyester's widespread use was due to the fact that it was cheap, durable, and easy to care for. When we head into the 1990s, what do we have? Well, we had the rise of fast fashion, and it's interesting because here is also when polyester as a fiber is going to take over cotton, and it's going to become central to fast fashion. Why? Mainly because it's cheap and its durability allowed for very fast production. But unfortunately, this kind of leads us to where we are today, because as clothing got cheaper, this has fueled a culture of disposability and a rise in textile waste. So, as brands started to face a little more pressure for how they actually treat the earth and what negative consequences their products do actually have on the environment, they needed to come up with a solution. And that solution would be rPET, recycled polyester. According to Changing Markets, recycled polyester has become a convenient cover for the fashion industry, allowing the brands to claim that they are sustainable or that they're progressing on reducing virgin plastic reliance, while at the same time they are increasing their overall synthetics use. And what you may think is that the recycled polyester in whatever item of clothing is going to come from a long line of other pieces of textiles. I have to stop you there. 98% of recycled polyester is going to come from plastic bottles. Less than 2% at this time is actually going to come from textile to textile recycling. So why plastic bottles? Polyester and plastic bottles are going to be made out of the same thing, polyethylene terephthalate. A lot of fashion brands are going to say that this is circular. However, they're going to lead out the part where what they're doing is actually downcycling these plastic bottles rather than recycling them. So it's taken out of the loop and being made into a garment. And since they're being turned into a garment, there is a very good chance that this recycled polyester may be blended with other fibers, which then is not going to allow it to be recycled again. A lot of the times it says that becoming recycled polyester in a garment is actually a one-way ticket to the landfill or incineration. But even knowing this, many brands are still going to heavily rely on recycled polyester. Changing Markets states that Adidas is going to claim that its polyester use is 99% recycled polyester. H&M is going to report 94% recycled polyester. And even Patagonia, which is, like the sustainable god of it all, they're going to use 93.6% recycled polyester, which the majority of that is going to come from plastic bottles. And additionally, a lot of these same brands have been found to be connected to fracking in the Permian Basin, which is going to be related to the production of virgin polyester. And this new study, which is commissioned by Changing Markets and Domit Çukurova University in Turkey, actually shows that recycled polyester may release more microplastics than virgin polyester. And the recycling is also going to stress the polymer chains even more, which is going to make them more brittle, which may result in even smaller microplastics. And the smaller the microplastic or the microfiber, the easier it is for humans and animals to actually breathe them in. And they also enter into our food chain, and then there's a growing amount of evidence of the harm that it does for the ecosystems and humans. Also, another interesting thing that came from the study was that some of the Shein clothes that were labeled recycled polyester, actually when they tested them, turned out to be consistent with virgin polyester fibers. And this brings us back to the point of why we need to have standardized fiber compositions, or that labels need to be exact and actually refer to what is in the fabric. Different fibers can really mess up mechanical recycling. For example, if an article of clothing is going to have elastane in it, well, you better wish that luck. Elastane is nearly impossible to recycle. And if you take a look on different websites, you'll see that elastane happens to be in everything. I could make another video on that too. While a lot of brands are saying that they're using recycled polyester to help fight pollution, it appears that they may be contributing to it a little bit more, beyond the fact that they keep producing stuff and they don't tell us how much they produce. So what needs to be done? Well, fashion brands and regulators and just governments in general need to get their act together and, start actually making progress that will help, rather than just making a drag out and saying, well, we'll see what happens. And obviously there needs to be more regulation on synthetic fibers. And as consumers, what can we do? Well, if you are a person that is buying stuff that you don't really need quite often, we can probably cut back on that. That would be helpful. If your budget can afford this, stay away from ultra fast fashion. This is going to be like Shein, Temu, Cider. I would even say like Addicted, all of those. And let's take it to fast fashion too. Again, if your budget can allow this, stick towards natural fibers if possible. I would also recommend doing more research onto fashion brands that are actually trying to scale this textile to textile recycling innovation, rather than trying to gaslight you into thinking that recycled polyester from plastic bottles is a good solution. Another thing that may be helpful is because a lot of microfibers are going to be shed during the laundering process, you should try washing your clothes less often, lower impacts, as well as in cold water. And it's also said that washing like on shorter cycles could help reduce the shedding. And as consumers, I think we should ask more questions and make brands responsible for actually answering us, because they can hide a lot of things.